Question 1. Topic. Adverse possession and prescription. While analyzing the root causes of sequential problems in land ownership disputes, a property owner discovers that a neighboring individual has been using a portion of their land for 22 years, claiming it as their own. The owner had previously seen this encroachment but took no legal action. The state's statutory period for adverse possession is 20 years. However, the encroacher had initially, the land mistakenly neighbor had a valid claim under the doctrine of adverse possession. A. No, because the encroacher entered mistakenly and lacked intent to possess adversely. B. Yes, because the encroachment lasted beyond the statutory period without legal challenge. C. No, because the true owner occasionally observed the encroachment. D. Yes, but only if the encroacher paid taxes on the land for the statutory period. Answer. B. Yes, because the encroachment lasted beyond the statutory period without legal challenge. Explanation. Adverse possession allows a person to claim legal ownership of land if they meet certain requirements, which typically include actual possession. The encroacher must physically occupy the land. Open and notorious use. The use must be visible and obvious to put the true owner on notice. Continuous possession. The use must continue uninterrupted for the statutory period. Exclusive possession. The possessor must exclude others, including the owner. Hostile possession. The possession must be without the owner's consent. Even though the encroacher entered the land by mistake, courts generally consider the possession hostile as long as it was without permission. Because the statutory period, 20 years, was exceeded and the true owner did nothing to reclaim the land, the adverse possessor has a valid claim. A is incorrect because mistaken entry does not negate adverse possession if all other elements are met. C is incorrect because merely observing an encroachment is insufficient to prevent adverse possession. The owner must take legal action. D is incorrect because payment of taxes is not universal requirement for adverse possession, though it may strengthen claim in some states. Question 2. Topic. Easements and rights of way. During a comprehensive review of a process that needs improvement, a landowner realizes that a neighboring property owner has been using a private road on their land for 15 years to access the main highway. The landowner never formally granted permission but never objected either. When the landowner decides to block the road, the neighbor sues, claiming a prescriptive easement. What is the likely legal outcome? A. The neighbor will prevail if they can show continuous, open, and hostile use for the statutory period. B. The landowner will prevail because the neighbor never had explicit permission to use the road. C. The neighbor will lose because they never paid for the right to use the road. D. The landowner will lose unless they can prove they explicitly objected within the first 10 years. Answer. A. The neighbor will prevail if they can show continuous, open, and hostile use for the statutory period. Explanation. A prescriptive easement arises when someone uses another's property in a way that meets the following criteria: open and notorious. The use must be obvious to the landowner. Adverse, hostile use. The use must occur without permission. Continuous use for the statutory period. The use must continue uninterrupted for the legally time, often 1020 years. Since the neighbor used the road for 15 years without the landowner's permission and the landowner never objected, the requirements for prescriptive easement are likely met. B is incorrect because explicit permission is not required for prescriptive easement. Rather, lack of permission is necessary. C is incorrect because payment is not requirement for prescriptive easement. D is incorrect because the burden is not landowner to object within certain time, but rather on the user to meet the statutory requirements. Question 3. Topic. Mortgages and real estate financing. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges impact property rights, a homeowner takes out a mortgage on their house but later secures a second loan using the same property as collateral. The homeowner defaults on both loans, leading to foreclosure. The lender of the second loan argues that their lien should be satisfied first because their loan was issued more recently and at an interest rate. Which principle determines the priority of these claims? A. The first lender has priority because of the first in time, first in right rule. B. The second lender has priority because their loan was issued at a higher interest rate. C. The two lenders must split the foreclosure proceeds equally. D. The second lender has priority because the first lender failed to record their lien immediately. Answer. A. The first lender has priority because of the first in time, first in right rule. Explanation. Lien priority in real estate financing is generally determined by the first in time, first in right principle, which means the first lender to properly record their lien has superior claim over later lenders. However, there are exceptions, such as Subordination agreements. The first lender may voluntarily agree to let the second lender priority tax liens. Government tax liens often have priority over private lenders. Failure to record. If a lender fails to record their lien, a later lender who properly records may take priority under the race notice rule in some states. In this case, unless the first lender failed to record or agreed to subordinate, they retain priority over the second lender. B is incorrect because interest rates do not determine priority. C is incorrect because lien holders do not automatically split proceeds equally. Priority determines payout order. D is incorrect because the question does not indicate that the first lender failed to record in time. Question 4. Topic: Change management and process coordination during a major transformation where existing methods must be restructured. A global company introduces a new digital system to manage logistics. Several regional offices, however, continue to use legacy systems due to concerns about compatibility and reliability. As a result, data inconsistencies arise, leading to delays in supply chain operations. Which following strategies is most effective in ensuring a smooth transition? A. Forcing immediate adoption of the new system across all locations. B. Allowing each regional office to decide its own timeline for adoption. C. Implementing a phased transition with cross-system integration tools. D. Discontinuing support for legacy systems to push compliance. Answer: C. Implementing a phased transition with cross-system integration tools. Explanation: a phased transition allows for careful monitoring and issue resolution before full implementation. Integration tools help maintain data accuracy, reducing operational disruptions. A is incorrect because forcing immediate adoption can lead to resistance and technical failures. B is incorrect because allowing each office to set its own timeline leads to prolonged inconsistencies. D is incorrect because abruptly discontinuing legacy support can disrupt critical operations. Question 5. Topic: Crisis management and risk assessment during an emergency response where multiple areas are impacted. A hospital network experiences a cyber attack that compromises patient records and operational systems. The team quickly isolates the affected servers, but medical staff struggle to access critical patient data. Some departments request immediate restoration of digital records, while others demand a more cautious approach. Avoid reinfection. Which of the following is the most effective response strategy? A. Restoring the system in phases while using backup records. B. Rebuilding the network from scratch to ensure complete security. C. Granting full access to all staff to restore normal operations. D. Keeping systems offline until a full investigation is complete. Answer: A. Restoring the system in phases while using backup records. Explanation: phased restoration minimizes disruptions while ensuring security measures are in place. Backup records help maintain continuity of care. B is incorrect because rebuilding from scratch is time-consuming and unnecessary if backups are available. C is incorrect because unrestricted access can lead to reinfection if the breach isn't fully contained. D is incorrect because systems offline too long can endanger patient care. Question 6. Topic: Project management and stakeholder communication in a case where multiple parties have different objectives. A city government launches a large-scale infrastructure project. Environmental groups oppose it due to potential ecological damage, while business leaders support it for economic growth. Meanwhile, residents express mixed opinions, citing traffic concerns. What is the most effective way to address stakeholder conflicts? A. Proceeding with the project as planned since it has government approval. B. Holding public meetings to incorporate feedback into project planning. C. Delaying the project indefinitely until all concerns are resolved. D. Focusing on gaining business sector support to move forward. Answer: B. Holding public meetings to incorporate feedback into project planning. Explanation: public meetings provide transparency and allow for adjustments that balance economic growth with environmental and residential concerns. A is incorrect because disregarding stakeholder concerns can lead to legal challenges and public resistance. C is incorrect because indefinite delays can stall progress without achieving a resolution. D is incorrect because prioritizing one group over others can damage trust and cooperation. Question 7. Topic: Decision-making and ethical considerations when developing a solution that must address opposing needs. A pharmaceutical company is under pressure to release a new drug quickly due to market demand. However, recent Clinical trial results suggest potential long-term side effects that require further research. What is the most ethical course of action? A. Proceed with the release while monitoring post-market data. B. Delay the release to conduct further safety evaluations. C. Modify trial results to reduce the perceived risk. D. Release the drug with a strong disclaimer about potential risks. Answer: B. Delay the release to conduct further safety evaluations. Explanation: patient safety is a priority in ethical decision-making. Conducting further research ensures that the product meets necessary health standards. A is incorrect because post-market monitoring does not prevent initial harm. C is incorrect because altering trial data is unethical and could result in legal consequences. D is incorrect because disclaimers do not absolve companies from responsibility for known risks. Question 8. Topic: Operational efficiency and process optimization. In a scenario where efficiency decreases across multiple departments, a technology firm notices rising production costs and delays in product delivery. A review finds that departments operate with outdated workflows that no longer align with current demands. Which strategy is most effective in improving efficiency? A. Reducing staff levels to cut costs. B. Automating repetitive tasks while retraining employees. C. Increasing production quotas without process changes. D. Outsourcing key functions to third-party vendors. Answer: B. Automating repetitive tasks while retraining employees. Explanation: automation reduces inefficiencies and retraining ensures staff can adapt to new technologies, improving overall productivity. A is incorrect because reducing staff without efficiency improvements can worsen delays. C is incorrect because increasing quotas without process changes leads to burnout. D is incorrect because outsourcing may introduce new inefficiencies and dependency on external parties. Question 9. Topic: Compliance and legal risk management. While examining inconsistencies across various units, a financial institution discovers discrepancies in loan approval rates among its regional branches. Some branches approve loans more easily, while others reject applicants with similar financial profiles. What is the best action to ensure regulatory compliance? 8. Standardizing loan approval processes with clear guidelines. B. Allowing regional branches to maintain flexible policies. C. Increasing quotas to ensure more approvals across all branches. D. Conducting internal audits but making no changes to policies. Answer: A is standardizing loan approval processes with clear guidelines. Explanation: consistency in approval processes ensures fairness and reduces regulatory risks. Clear guidelines prevent discrimination and unintentional bias. B is incorrect because inconsistent policies can lead to compliance violations. C is incorrect because setting quotas without process improvements may lead to risky lending. D is incorrect because audits the loan do not systemic inconsistencies. Question 10. Topic: Crisis communication and reputation management. During a comprehensive review of a process that needs improvement, a major airline discovers flaws in its customer service training. Several recent incidents have resulted in negative press, with complaints about delayed responses and poor conflict resolution. What is the most effective way to rebuild public trust? A. Issuing an apology and promising improvements. B. Implementing enhanced customer service training programs. C. Reducing ticket prices to attract new customers. D. Focusing on legal defenses to counter customer complaints. Answer: B. Implementing enhanced customer service training programs. Explanation: long-term trust is restored through meaningful improvements, not just public statements. Training ensures staff can handle conflicts more effectively. That is incorrect because apologies alone do not address root causes. C is incorrect because reducing ticket prices does not fix service issues. D is incorrect because legal defenses can further damage reputation. Question 11. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges arise simultaneously, a real estate developer is negotiating a major commercial lease agreement in a rapidly changing market. The tenant, a large retail chain, insists on including an exclusivity clause preventing the landlord from leasing adjacent spaces to competitors. However, the local zoning laws and fair competition regulations limit such restrictions. What is the most legally course of action for the landlord? A. Accept the exclusivity clause, as private lease agreements take precedence over public zoning laws. B. Reject the exclusivity clause outright, as it is unenforceable under antitrust laws. C. Propose a modified exclusivity clause that aligns with zoning laws and includes a reasonable time limitation. D. Terminate negotiations and seek another tenant who will not demand exclusivity. Answer: C. Propose a modified exclusivity clause that aligns with zoning laws and includes a reasonable time limitation. Explanation: exclusivity clauses in commercial leases are common but must comply with zoning laws and fair competition regulations. While private lease agreements have contractual freedom, they cannot override public laws. Option is incorrect. Blanket rejections of option B may not always be necessary if adjustments be made to ensure legal compliance. Terminating negotiations, option D, is an extreme action that could result in lost business opportunities. Instead, landlords often negotiate reasonable limitations, such as restricting direct competitors within a set timeframe while adhering to local regulations. Question 12. During a comprehensive review of a process that needs improvement, a hospital administrator discovers that some leased medical equipment lacks proper documentation regarding ownership rights and maintenance responsibilities. The leasing company claims that the hospital is responsible for all repairs, while the hospital insists the contract places the burden on the lessor. How should the hospital proceed legally? A. Continue using the equipment and attempt to negotiate maintenance responsibilities later. B. Cease using the equipment until ownership and repair obligations are clarified. C. Unilaterally perform maintenance and charge the leasing company for expenses. D. File a lawsuit immediately against the leasing company for contractual ambiguity. Answer: B. Cease using the equipment until ownership and repair obligations are clarified. Explanation: legal disputes over leased equipment must be handled carefully. Continuing use without clarity. Option A. Risks liability. Unilaterally conducting repairs. Option C. Without clear contractual authority could lead to financial losses. A lawsuit. Option D. Should be a last resort after exhausting negotiation and review. The best approach to stop using the equipment. Option B. While seeking legal clarification of the lease terms. Question 13. While investigating a complicated issue between different jurisdictions, a multinational company faces conflicting intellectual property (IP) laws in the US and the European Union regarding software patents. The company holds a valid software patent in the US, but a competitor in the EU argues that the same software should not qualify for patent protection under European law. What is the best legal approach to resolve this issue? A. Sue a EU competitor in US courts for patent infringement. B. Seek a licensing agreement to cover differences in international IP laws. C. File for a new patent in the EU that aligns with its specific legal framework. D. Withdraw from the EU market to avoid potential legal disputes. Answer: B. Seek a licensing agreement to cover differences in international IP laws. Explanation: patent laws vary between jurisdictions. The US allows software patents more broadly than the EU, where they must demonstrate technical innovation. Litigation. Option A may not succeed due to jurisdictional limits. Filing a new patent. Option C is an option but does not resolve the existing conflict. Withdrawing. Option D is unnecessarily extreme. Licensing agreements. Option B allow companies to legally operate under different IP systems while minimizing risks. Question 14. In an environment where different components must interact seamlessly, an AI-powered hiring system is accused of unintentional discrimination. An investigation reveals that the algorithm disproportionately filters out certain demographic groups, potentially violating equal employment laws. What is the most legally appropriate corrective measure? A. Discontinue the AI system and revert to traditional human-based hiring. B. Implement bias auditing mechanisms and retrain the AI with diverse datasets. C. Ignore the complaints as hiring decisions are ultimately subjective. D. Restrict the AI decision-making power, but maintain its use for efficiency. Answer: B. Implement bias auditing mechanisms and retrain the AI with diverse datasets. Explanation: discriminatory hiring practices, even if unintentional, violate Title Roman of the Civil Rights Act. Ignoring the issue. Option C is legally indefensible. Discontinuing AI entirely. Option A may be unnecessary if the issue can be corrected. Restricting the AI. Option D does not fully address underlying biases. The best response is to implement bias auditing and retrain the AI. Option B to ensure fair hiring practices. Question 15. During a seamless transition where continuity must be ensured, a publicly traded company is preparing to implement new financial reporting standards mandated by the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC). However, the transition period reveals discrepancies between old and new valuation methods, potentially affecting shareholder confidence. What is the most legally compliant course of action? A. Use the new method immediately and adjust past financial statements retroactively. B. Issue a public disclosure explaining the transition, including potential valuation impacts. C. Quietly adjust internal records without publicly acknowledging the discrepancies. D. Delay the transition until market conditions stabilize. Answer: B. Issue a public disclosure explaining the transition, including potential valuation impacts. Explanation: publicly traded companies must comply with SEC transparency requirements. Quietly adjusting records, option C, is misleading and could lead to legal action. Delaying implementation, option D, is not an option if the SEC mandates the changes. Retroactively adjusting past statements, option A, may not align with SEC guidelines. Best approach is full disclosure, option B, to maintain legal compliance and shareholder trust. Question 16. In a multi-location scenario where consistency requirements are critical, a global logistics company is facing compliance challenges with differing environmental regulations across the regions it operates in. A new EU regulation requires stricter carbon emission reporting, while US regulations remain less stringent. How should the company approach compliance? A. Apply EU standards globally to maintain consistency. B. Adopt the lowest regulatory standard to reduce operational costs. C. Develop region-specific compliance strategies tailored to each jurisdiction. D. Challenge a EU regulation in court to delay compliance. Answer: C. Develop region-specific compliance strategies tailored to each jurisdiction. Explanation: multinational companies must comply with varying regulations. Applying EU standards globally, option A, may be unnecessary and costly. Adopting the lowest standard, option B, could lead to legal penalties in stricter jurisdictions. Challenging regulations, option D, is time-consuming and does not guarantee success. To tailor compliance, option C is the most legally sound and operationally efficient. Question 17. During an emergency response where multiple areas are impacted, a cybersecurity breach exposes sensitive customer data from a major financial institution. Regulatory authorities require immediate notification, but the company is still assessing the full scope of the breach. What is the most legally appropriate response? A. Wait until the full investigation is complete before notifying customers. B. Issue a preliminary disclosure with known facts and update it as more information emerges. C. Only inform major stakeholders privately to prevent public panic. D. Seek a legal injunction to prevent mandatory disclosure. Answer: B. Issue a preliminary disclosure with known facts and update it as more information emerges. Explanation: financial institutions must comply with data breach notification laws. Delaying disclosure, option A, risks legal violations. Private notification, option C, violates transparency requirements. Seeking a legal injunction, option D, is unlikely to succeed. The best approach is early disclosure with continuous updates. B. To comply with legal obligations while maintaining trust. Question 18. When implementing backup procedures across various departments, a healthcare organization finds that some patient data is stored on third-party cloud services without explicit consent. This may violate HIPAA regulations. What should the organization do next? A. Continue using the third-party services since the data is protected. B. Immediately audit all third-party storage solutions and ensure compliance. C. Delete the data and inform patients that their records were removed. D. Ignore the issue as it has not led to any complaints yet. Answer: B. Immediately audit all third-party storage solutions and ensure compliance. Explanation: HIPAA mandates strict patient data security. Ignoring the issue, option D, or continuing use without action, option A, could lead to violations. Deleting data, option C, may compromise patient care. Conducting an immediate audit and ensuring compliance, option B, is the best approach. Question 19. In a situation where formal requirements conflict with operational needs, a manufacturing company faces a dilemma where OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, safety standards require expensive protective equipment upgrades, but the company argues they are unnecessary for their specific process. What is the best legal and ethical course of action? A. Fully comply with OSHA requirements despite costs. B. Seek an OSHA variance exception based on a safety study. C. Ignore the requirement and continue operations as usual. D. Challenge OSHA in court to block enforcement. Answer: B. Seek an OSHA variance exception based on a safety study. Explanation: Companies must comply with OSHA, but variances option B allow for alternative safety measures that achieve the same protection. Ignoring the rule option C risks legal action. Challenging OSHA in court option D is time-consuming and unlikely to succeed. Full compliance option A is ideal but may be unnecessary if a variance is granted. Question 20. During the introduction of new methods where coordination is essential, an AI-driven financial trading firm is adopting high-frequency trading (HFT) algorithms. Regulators express concerns that these methods may create unfair advantages or market manipulation. What is the best compliance strategy? A. Continue using the AI system since there are no explicit bans. B. Work with regulators to establish best practices and ethical guidelines. C. Reduce AI trading speed to align with traditional market operations. D. Challenge regulatory concerns in court to delay new rules. Answer. B. Work with regulators to establish best practices and ethical guidelines. Explanation. Regulatory collaboration ensures compliance and avoids penalties. Ignoring concerns option A risks legal issues. Reducing trading speed option C undermines the firm's competitive advantage. Litigation option D is costly and does not guarantee favorable outcomes. Working with regulators option B ensures compliance while protecting interests. Question 21. During a major transformation where existing methods are being replaced, a pharmaceutical company is transitioning from traditional drug development to AI-driven predictive modeling for clinical trials. Regulators question the reliability of AI-generated data in determining drug safety. What is the best approach for ensuring regulatory approval? A. Continue using AI-driven models without adjustments as AI has proven effective. B. Conduct parallel clinical trials using both AI and traditional methods for validation. C. Argue that AI-generated data should be accepted without additional testing. D. Challenge regulatory scrutiny in court to delay compliance requirements. Answer. B. Conduct parallel clinical trials using both AI and traditional methods for validation. Explanation. Regulatory bodies like the FDA require proven validation methods. Solely relying on AI models, option A, without validation may result in rejection. Legal challenges, option D, are costly and unlikely to succeed. Conducting parallel validation trials, option B, ensures AI reliability, maintaining compliance. Question 22. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges arise, a financial services firm is expanding into emerging markets where anti-corruption laws differ significantly. U.S. regulators warn about potential foreign corrupt practices at FEPA violations. What is the best strategy? A. Apply U.S. FEPA compliance standards globally, even in less strict markets. B. Follow only local anti-corruption laws to avoid operational burdens. C. Use third-party intermediaries to bypass direct compliance risks. D. Withdraw from high-risk markets to eliminate compliance concerns. Answer A. Apply U.S. FEPA compliance standards globally, even in less strict markets. Explanation. The FEPA applies to U.S. companies operating abroad, so following only local laws, option B, is not sufficient. Using third-party intermediaries, option C, does not remove liability. Withdrawing, option D, may not be necessary. Applying U.S. FEPA standards globally, option A, minimizes legal risk. Question 23. While analyzing the root causes of sequential problems in a manufacturing plant, safety audits reveal that multiple equipment malfunctions stem from using outdated machinery. However, replacing all machines at once would exceed the company's budget. What is the best legal and ethical approach? A. Prioritize replacing the most hazardous machines first. B. Continue using all equipment until full replacement is affordable. C. Modify existing machines to meet basic safety standards. D. Delay upgrades until an accident triggers legal mandate. Answer A. Prioritize replacing the most hazardous machines first. Explanation. OSHA and product liability laws require employers to maintain workplace safety. Delaying upgrades, option D, or continuing operations without action, option B, risks legal penalties. Modifying existing machines, option C, may not ensure compliance. Prioritizing hazardous machine replacement, option A, balances safety and financial constraints. Question 24. In a situation where resource allocation comes a challenge, a global logistics company must balance fuel efficiency and environmental sustainability while meeting tight delivery deadlines. Stricter emissions laws conflict with the company's existing fleet capabilities. What should the company do? A. Invest in cleaner technology over time while gradually phasing out older trucks. B. Ignore emissions laws and focus on operational efficiency. C. Seek an exemption from environmental regulators. D. Shift entirely to third-party carriers with no emissions restrictions. Answer A. Invest in cleaner technology over time while gradually phasing out older trucks. Explanation: compliance with environmental regulations is mandatory. Ignoring laws. Option B. Risks penalties while seeking exemptions. Option C is rarely a long-term solution. Gradual fleet upgrades. Option A. Ensure compliance while managing costs. Question 25. When scaling up operations that experience significant regulatory challenges, a tech startup expanding internationally must navigate GDPR compliance while managing user data across multiple jurisdictions. What is the best approach? A. Implement DDR standards globally to simplify compliance. B. APDR early in the EU and maintain separate policies elsewhere. C. Store EU customer data separately from other regions. D. Discontinue EU operations due to compliance burdens. Answer A. Implement GDPR standards globally to simplify compliance. Explanation: GDPR has extraterritorial reach, meaning companies handling EU data must comply regardless of location. The global GDPR compliance. Option A ensures consistency, avoids legal risk, and future-proofs operations. Question 26. During a comprehensive review of a process that needs improvement, a multinational corporation finds discrepancies in its supplier agreements where some contracts violate anti-competitive laws. How should the company proceed? A. Immediately audit and renegotiate supplier contracts to ensure compliance. B. Ignore the issue since it has not led to legal challenges yet. C. Continue existing agreements but seek legal advice in case of future issues. D. Conceal non-compliant contracts to avoid penalties. Answer A. Immediately audit and renegotiate supplier contracts to ensure compliance. Explanation: ignoring violations. Option B, or concealing them. Option D can result in legal action. Seeking legal advice. Option C is not enough without corrective action. Proactively auditing and fixing agreements. Option A ensures compliance and minimizes risks. Question 27. While investigating a complicated issue between different stakeholders, a financial institution is accused of unfair lending practices that disproportionately impact minority borrowers. What is the best response? A. Conduct an independent audit of lending practices. B. Dismiss allegations unless regulators intervene. C. Defend existing practices without investigation. D. Settle privately with affected customers without admitting wrongdoing. Answer A. Conduct an independent audit of lending practices. Explanation: regulations like the Equal Credit Opportunity Act (ECOA) prohibit discriminatory lending. Ignoring complaints. Option B, or defending without investigation. Option C risks penalties. An independent audit. Option A is the best approach to ensure fair lending practices. Question 28. In an environment where different components must interact seamlessly, an automobile manufacturer faces legal disputes over intellectual property rights for AI-powered vehicle systems. What is the best strategy? A. Negotiate licensing agreements with patent holders. B. Disregard patent claims unless lawsuits are filed. C. Develop alternative technology to avoid infringement. D. Challenge all existing patents in court. Answer A. Negotiate licensing agreements with patent holders. Explanation: patent disputes can result in costly litigation. Licensing agreements. Option A offer a compliant and practical solution. Developing alternatives. Option C may take years and challenging patents. Option D is uncertain. Question 29. When improving a process that shows unexpected results, a retail company implementing AI-driven pricing faces allegations of price discrimination. What is the best approach? A. Conduct a compliance review to ensure AI pricing aligns with anti-discrimination laws. B. Defend AI pricing decisions as purely data-driven. C. Modify pricing without internal review. D. Ignore allegations unless regulators intervene. Answer A. Conduct a compliance review to ensure AI pricing aligns with anti-discrimination laws. Explanation: AI pricing must comply with consumer protection laws. A compliance review. Option A ensures legality, while other options risk liability. Question 30. While addressing an ongoing compliance issue, a major airline discovers that its labor policies do not fully comply with recent changes in federal wage laws. Employees have filed complaints regarding unpaid overtime. What is the best course of action? A. Conduct an internal audit and pay any unpaid wages retroactively. B. Wait for formal legal action before making any changes. C. Reduce employee hours to avoid future overtime claims. D. Dispute the complaints, arguing that the company was unaware of the law changes. Answer A. Conduct an internal audit and pay any unpaid wages retroactively. Explanation. The Fair Labor Standards Act (FLSA) requires proper overtime payment. Waiting for legal action. Option B increases financial and reputational risks. Reducing hours. Option C does not resolve past violations. Proactively auditing and compensating employees. Option A ensures compliance and minimizes legal liability.